Shalom. All right, Shalom, Israel. We are the ISU PK. Started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General Yohana. And tonight is Tuesday's night Brotherhood class. So we here to teach brothers and sisters about brotherhood and sisterhood and why it's important in Israel. Oh, Salaki. I got you. It's on edit.
Hold on, let me see if I can do it. I got it.
Come. All right, so what we gonna start with is if I could get somebody to pull Proverbs 15 and 22. Because without wise counsel, without certain people in your life, like wise elders showing you right from wrong, the work that we doing here is gonna be pointless. Because how many of y'all got a brother in the world to where you try to tell him about this truth and he don't really get it? Why? Because he doesn't have the correct counsel. He doesn't have the correct brothers around him leading him to the truth. You feel me? And honestly, if you're not firm in who you are, you're going to be led astray by the concepts of the world. You feel me? So if I could get somebody pull Proverbs 15 and 22.
This is Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 22. Without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established.
So in the multitude of counselors, the purpose and the things that we are doing is going to be established. Like in the sense of this, without a multitude of counselors and wise men, we are led astray because there's only a few wise men. But in a multitude of them where every brother is acting like a brother, every brother is being a brother, every brother is correcting you when you falling, you won't be able to fall short so easily. Like I had a brother in the world and I told him, like, listen, I ain't trying to be your homie if I can't correct you. I ain't trying to be your homie if you can't correct me. Why? Because correction comes from the Lord. The Bible say the Lord correct those of whom he loves.
That's right.
So if you're not willing to accept correction, then you're not willing to be my brother. How can you love me? Somebody pull 1 John 4 and 20. How can you love me if you don't? Salakia, how can you love God if you don't love your brother? How many times have we tried to preach this same message to Christians and they fight us and they hate us and they dislike us, but they supposedly love God? How can you say you love God if you hate your brother? If your brother right here trying to tell you, listen, this is the truth. We messing up. We are not right. And you hate him for it. How can you say you love God? You ain't even never seen God. You ain't even never, like, it's crazy. Like, I always think back to this. This is an analogy that always helped me come into the truth. When I think about Christ, Yahweh Shah Mashiach, when I think about the things he went through, he was one hell of a brother. Yahweh Shah didn't get a wife. Yahweh Shah didn't do a lot of things just for the brotherhood. Like, Salakia, before you pull 1 John 4 and 20, somebody pulled John 11 and 50. Like, he was willing to die for this nation. He was willing to give up all the cares of how many people have we came across? They can't give up weed. They can't give up women. They can't give up the cares of the world, basically, for this truth. Like, I just had a brother tell me, I can't not get a haircut. And I'm like, damn. So Christ went his whole life being tempted by a woman, being tempted by all these different things, and he didn't fall into it all because he knew he had a mission. And you telling me you can't get a haircut? Like, come on. We worry about little matters, basically. Like, we can't shake these little things when Christ shook all of it. Like, what better Salakia, what better example than Christ?
Right.
You feel me? What better example than Christ? Because he was a man, a black man from the tribe of Judah who came here and did everything right. He came here and did everything perfect. You got that verse from me, Ak?
This is John chapter 11, verse 50. Nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not.
And that the whole nation perish not. That's what Yahweh Shah did. He came here and died for his people, for his nation. How many brothers we got out there in the world willing to lay their life down for a cause that's not really beneficial, for a gang, for a group, for a neighborhood crew? How many of our brothers is willing to die for things that's not beneficial to the black community? Was you able to get that video or no? Not so long ago, I seen a video on Instagram of a brother having a police interaction, and the police said that he hit him falsely, basically, and he slammed the brother. And the brother's sister clearly seen he didn't hit the cop, Salakia, and she vouched for the cop. This is why brotherhood and sisterhood is important, because if we were able to govern ourselves, we wouldn't have to go to these other nations who hunt our steps. We wouldn't have to go to these other nations who have no love, no compassion, no empathy for us. We wouldn't have to do these things. Like Black Wall Street, that was brotherhood and sisterhood. Black Wall Street, when we stuck together, like give me Zephaniah 2:1. When we stuck together, we flourished. When we follow what the Lord told us to do, we flourish. And a lot of times, like the way you speak to your brothers, the way you address your brothers, everything you do in a manner of how you deal with your brother and your sister is important.
That's
Why?
right.
Like why? Because you can address your brother in a manner like let's say this. You see how I just gave that analogy of I don't want nobody to be my brother if you can't correct me. Like let's say you trying to correct me, it's a manner that you do that, and we're gonna learn about that tonight. Like let's say it's me and my brother, and he feel as though I did something that wasn't really like right. What should he do? Anybody want to answer that? What should
Go to him and him alone.
he should go to him and him alone? Why? Because when you try to correct a brother in front of people, a lot of times he never hears you. He's not gonna hear you in front of a crowd of people and you trying to correct him. You got to pull that brother to the side and be like, yo, bro, this wasn't right. Why? Because that's respect. That's honor. That's showing your brother you love him, because you still willing to not let him stumble, but you also willing to tell him the truth about himself. You feel me? And that's what we all need. Like, I don't need anybody around me that's going to be like, yeah, I don't need a yes man. I need a brother.
Right.
I need somebody who's going to be like, you fucking up. Excuse my language, but you messing up. You feel me? Because if we allow everybody to just, and this is just in Israel, if we allow all Israel to just do whatever, what makes us better than everybody else? Like, it's a commandment. Give me 1 John 4:20. Because it's a commandment to love your brother. It's a commandment to love your sister. It's a commandment to deal righteously. It's a commandment. And while the brother grabbing that, like, it's so important the way we judge matters in Israel, because you could judge a matter falsely and you could be the detriment to why a brother leads the truth. You feel me? Or why a sister leads the truth. This is why how we just read in Proverbs 15:22, in a multitude of counselors, we gonna flourish.
Right.
You feel me? That's why the correct counsel is important. You got that?
This is 1 John chapter 4 and verse 20. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar.
He is a liar. So you can't say how many Christians do we come across and you telling them, yo, you can't eat pork. You can't sleep with this nation. You can't do these manners of evil. And they're telling you, no, bro, no. And they steady going at you. They hate you. Now, how could they say they love God? If we just read, if a man say he love, read that for me one more time.
Khan. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar.
He is a what?
A liar.
So you're a liar if you say you love God but hate your brother. Why? Because your brother's around you every day. Your sister's around you every day. If you moving about, you see your brother struggling, and you not willing to help him when you got it, you know that verse that say, if you got it, give it. Basically, like if it's in your power to give to that brother, give it to him.
So you want to pull the verse?
Yeah, it's in Proverbs, I believe. But if it's in your power to help your brother out, you should help him. Why? Because you could be that same person in that same position. You could be that brother one day that fell on hard times. You could be that brother that fell on troubling manners or matters, Salaki. You could be that same brother in that same position. Everybody like to look at the things they have and think that, oh, nah, I can't lose it. But no, tomorrow not promised to any of us. And that's another thing. Tomorrow not promised. So why not love your brother? Why not love your sister? They could be gone in a snap of a finger. They could be gone in a drop of a dime. You feel me? So while the brother's pulling that verse, I'm gonna pull Proverbs 18 and 19. So I can. Before you read that, I'm gonna read this. It's Proverbs 18 and 19. It says, a brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and their contentions are like the bars of a castle. So as I asked the brothers, what should you do if a brother offends you? He said, go to him and him alone. Why? Because if you offend your brother in a certain manner and y'all don't address that issue, a brother that's offended is harder to be won than a strong city. So think about how hard it is to conquer a city. Now think about that same analogy with a brother you offended. Let's say you talk to that brother wife in a manner he didn't like. That's going to be, if that brother's not wise enough, that matter could get taken way further than it should have. This is why these laws, statutes, and commandments is important. This is why the way you deal and speak to your brother and your sister is very important.
That's right.
You feel me? Why? You got that verse?
I don't know.
All right. I got you.
What you call
The verse that said, if it's in your power to give basically. Like if it's in your if you got it, don't hold it back, like to the needy, basically. But if you could pull Proverbs 18 and 24 for me, that'd be too up. Cause I got some homies who still in the world. I got some brothers who in here in the truth. And truthfully speaking, there's gonna be people who God puts in your life to where they're gonna be closer than your actual intermediate family. Like Proverbs 18 and 24. You got that?
Khan. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and 24. A man that has friends must show himself friendly. And there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother.
So there's a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Why is it saying that? Just as I just said, there's gonna be people in this world, and you're gonna be like, damn, you is more thorough than my brother, my blood brother. You love me more than, because it's strangers out there, and I'm not talking about the other nations. I'm talking about blacks, Hispanics, and natives. It's people out there that you don't know who will love you more than your intermediate family. That's why Christ said, whoever does the will of the Father is your brother. Whoever does the will of the Most High is your sister. Whoever does the will of the Most High is your family. Because these people who you once did not know, and y'all come together like Zephaniah 2:1 says to do, y'all gonna become made brothers and sisters. And that bond is gonna be a bond that can't be broke. You feel me? Because brotherhood and sisterhood is a weapon. Without it, we fail. Without it, we fall. Without it, we crumble. If I could get you to pull Matthew 5 and 22. And just as I was saying early, like the way you deal with your brothers is very important. Like let's say I got a problem with my brother because it's something he doing. I shouldn't just go out and tell everybody else. I should go to him. Because me what's the word they call that? Me gossiping about it, it's not going to help anything. It's not going to help me. It's not going to help him. And that's going to allow Satan to use that. That's going to allow Satan to tempt me, to tempt him, and to make a situation more than what it has to be. Rather than me just going to the brother and telling him, yo, bro, I ain't like how you did that. I ain't like how you made this decision. You got that verse for me?
This is Matthew chapter 5 and 22. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment.
Right.
And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire.
Exactly. So if you angry with your brother without cause, you're in danger. Why? Or if a sister's angry with another sister without cause, she's in danger. Why? Because it's a commandment to love your brother, to love your sister. So if you just hating your brother and sister, if you envious of your brother and sister for what they have, for what they doing, the important thing in the sense of not being envious of your brothers or your sisters is because you could have the same things if you work for it. You could have the same love that the Father has to offer if you work for it. So it's no reason for you to hate your brother or your sister without cause, because that causes strife, that causes issue, that causes commotion, that causes confusion.
Right.
So the importance of, let me pull this next verse. So I'm just grabbing this verse to tie in. I'm about to pull 1 John 3 and 15. All right, I'm going to read verse 14. We know that we have passed from death unto life. And if you don't know what that means that we was once dead to the Lord and now we're came to life in front of the Lord. It says, because we love the brother, he that loveth not his brother abideth in death. Why? Because it's a commandment to love your brother, love your sister. Now, the very next verse, it says, whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer. Why is it calling you a murderer if you hate your brother? Because if you hate your brother, you hate yourself. If you hate your brother, you hate Christ. If you hate your brother, you hate God. So you're a murderer. And you're willing to do anything. Like it's brothers out here who is selling they own family members the same drugs that they watch they mothers or they fathers grow up on.
Exactly.
You feel me? So it's brothers out here and sisters out here that's going through manners of evil. Like let's look at the cartel per se. They're bringing in drugs and flooding our communities with drugs when they don't even know. They flooding their own brothers and sisters with the same with the same calamity that they can't escape. So this is why it's important for us to come together and come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments, because without us knowing, like, how many of our brothers and sisters don't know that we brothers and sisters?
Right.
How many Hispanics don't know that they are kin to the natives or kin to the black people? How many times have you came across a Puerto Rican and said, yo, you my brother, you my sister? And they said, no, we not. Because they don't know, because they were fed the strong delusion that the world has to offer. Like, how did the oppressor get us? He divided and conquered us. Like, if you separate us, we are weaker separated than we are together. Like, think about it. The Bible say nobody could come into a strong man's house and just spoil it. Why? Because a strong man has brotherhood. A strong man has the commandments. A strong man knows that, okay, if I don't got it over here, I could lean on my brother. Like, you have to be a shoulder to the brothers and sisters in the truth who don't have it. You have to be a shoulder to your brother and sister that may be going through something that you went through. That's why we just read in Proverbs 15 and 22, a multitude of counselors is important. We need more brothers and sisters acting like brothers and sisters. Why? Because we don't get to see that a lot. We don't get to see brothers loving brothers, sisters loving sisters.
Right.
Like, in a community where everybody is out for themselves, we fail. Like, look at us and look at the state of living we are in today. We are in a dust state of living. We are in a low state of living. Why? Because we don't love our brothers. We don't love our sisters. We'll see a sister walking up the street. You won't even say hello. You'll see a brother walking up the street. You won't even say, "What's up, bro? How you doing?" You won't even ask a brother about his day. You feel me? But when it comes to the oppressor, you love the oppressor. You love going to work. Like, how many sisters will do whatever they boss say to do, but when they come home to their husband, it's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit defiant.
Exactly.
You feel me?
I understand.
And that's not really love. You feel me? You love your oppressors. You feel me? This is why the Bible say, "Envy not thy oppressor and choose none of his ways." We have chosen the oppressor's ways. The oppressor don't love his brother. Think about Esau's army. The oppressor, like, and that's what I think about a lot, Esau's army, because it's a lot of our brothers and sisters going into Esau's army. Yep. And guess what? They are going to death. Mm-hmm. They are getting led to death, just like a sheep. You know, so this is the importance of us waking our brothers and sisters up, letting them know that you are part of the 12 tribes. You are part of God's chosen people. You are one of God's elect. This is the importance of brotherhood and sisterhood, because if nobody, like, think about Christ. If Christ didn't dedicate his life to die for his nation, like give me that 1 John 5 and Salakia, it was 1 John 11 and 50 again. Give me that 1 John 11 and 50 again, because if Christ didn't do this, truthfully speaking, we wouldn't even have a chance. Or John 11 and 50, Salakia. If Christ didn't die for us, for his nation, for his brothers, for his sisters, we wouldn't have a chance to follow God. Why? Because we disobeyed God. We disobeyed him. We didn't follow. We didn't love each other like Christ said, like Christ taught. Salakia. And while you pull that verse, I got it right up here. You got it. Read it out for me.
This is John 11 and 50. Nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not.
And that the whole nation perish not. That's what our brother did. He was the epitome of brotherhood. You can't get more brotherly than Christ. Right. You cannot get more brotherly than Yahushua Mashiach. He was the perfect example of what you want to be in this truth, right, and how you want to move in this truth, and how you want to deal with your brothers in this truth, because you can't be acting like no punk with your brother. Exactly. You have to be willing to tell your brother what it is, and no matter what. Because if you are willing to hide your words from your brother, then you're willing to watch your brother fail. Exactly. You're willing to watch your brother fall. Right. Give me Matthew 18 and 21. So this is what we about to read. Peter was asking, how many times shall I forgive my brother? And before we read this verse, how many times have y'all made a mistake? How many times have y'all done something to where it was like, damn, I ain't even mean to do it. I could have offended a brother. I ain't even know it. How many times? You feel me? We didn't all did things by mistake. So this is why it's saying, I got you. This is why it's saying to forgive your brother. Why? Because you was once that brother that needed to get forgiven. Go ahead.
If I could, what you're saying is absolutely heavy, because growing up in the world,
right,
you know, we used to do what the Philly brothers call bidding. Mm-hmm. So we ranking on each other doing stuff, and it's a constant thing that we doing, and then you doing it so much sometimes you don't even realize, you know, when you're actually offending a brother. And I remember one time I had said something and I didn't realize, and it was on camera too. I'm in high school and it's on camera. And I didn't realize I had offended the brother until the tape was run back and I could see his facial expression when I said what I said.
Exactly. Like a brother might not even say nothing. He might be offended the whole time, and now he's letting Satan play off of them emotions. That's why it's important to go to him and him alone. And that's why it's also important to address every matter. If you feel offended, you got to address that brother and let him know, hey, bro, you offended me.
Exactly.
You know, like I ain't feeling how you did that. I ain't feeling that. So that's it's a you got that verse for me. It's very important to show brotherhood, show sisterhood. Also, Salakia too, before you read that, sisters too, It's important for y'all to have sisterhood because how many
Absolutely.
times will
That's a
y'all
rough
get
one.
cool? And well, this is a worldly example. How many times will sisters be cool with each other and then talk shit about them when they leave?
Mhm.
You feel me? So it's very important to have a strong bond with who you call family, a
Exactly.
strong bond with who you call your brother, who you call your sister, because it's gonna be a time where you need to lean on them,
Mhm.
and they may be a time where they need to lean on you,
Exactly.
and you need to be there.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 18 and verse 21.
Right.
Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him?
Mm-hmm.
Till 7 times? Jesus saith unto him, I say not unto thee, until 7 times 7, until 7 times, but until 70 times 7.
Until 70 times 7. You need to keep forgiving your brother over and over and over again. You need to never stop forgiving your brother. Why? Because this next verse I'm about to read is going to show you. If you read Matthew 7:2, it says, for with what judgment ye judge. So I'm going to break it down line upon line. So let's say you got a brother who is out there sleeping with white women.
Awesome.
And you tell him, yo, bro, you can't be doing that.
Exactly.
You messing up, but you just cut the brother off. You never talk to him again, right? You give him one chance. What this is saying, the same way you judge, you're going to be judged. So it says, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. So when you stand in front of the Lord, he's going to give you one chance, and then he's going to turn his back on you. The same way you judge is going to be the same way you're judged. So this is why it's important to, just as Christ told Peter, to keep forgiving your brother. You want to be forgiven, don't you? You want the
Right.
things you did to work when you repented. You want the Lord to see you change, so you got to give this brother a little space to change. Give this sister a little space to change. You can't look at what that brother or sister did in the past and then keep it dwelling in the future. Like if they telling you and they sincere in heart that they really gonna change, you have to leave space for that. You got something?
Yeah, concert, because what you're bringing out is heavy. You know what I mean? Because, you know what I mean? Blacks and Hispanics and Native and First Nation people, like, we don't have anybody to give us mental health care growing up.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of us that has like PTSD and they're bipolar.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we have to learn how to navigate this world, knowing that our people have these kind of health conditions and these mental health conditions. You know what I mean? And this is why forgiveness is important, because you know that this is the cause of white supremacy.
Yeah, and it's heavy what you're saying too, because that ties back into the Proverbs 15 and 22, having wise counselors around you, because a wise counselor will be able to, like, oh, I'm gonna pull this verse real quick. Like, if you quick to wrath, you're not wise, because let's say your brother just do something itty bitty and you quick to burst out on him and go crazy. Like, bro, it wasn't even that serious.
Not either.
You mean, like, just like you pulling up, a brother may be dealing with some mental illnesses to where you didn't know. You didn't, ain't nobody just coming out like, yeah, bro, I got PTSD. You mean nobody not doing it? So you don't know what this brother or sister is actually battling. Like the Bible say we battle not against flesh and blood.
Right.
You mean? So we fighting against way more than the average Joe know.
Exactly.
So when we going out there teaching this word to our brothers and our sisters and they turning their back on you, hating them, you got to have a little grace. You got to have a little grace, because you got to understand they're not all the way there. They're not all the way as wise as you are. And being that you're wiser, you have to move differently. Being that you're wiser than them, that's more of the reason that you had to be more of a brother. Like, think about how wise Christ was. He was so wise that he knew not to punish that woman for adultery right then and there. He knew to say, go and sin no more. He knew to be a brother to that sister. Give her a chance. You feel me? So it's all about how you deal with certain matters. It's all about the counsel you give it, because the counsel that we give is going to save lives. The way we act like brothers is going to save lives. The way our sisters come into this truth and be sisters like anybody never seen, that's what saves lives. That's what gives hope. That's what shows us like, damn,
right.
We actually got something here. A nation could be built. You mean we could actually rule the earth? Like somebody pull 2nd Ezra 6 and 59. And why I'm pulling this verse is because it's this saying of we like crabs in a barrel. I mean, we all at the bottom trying to get out of the bucket and we pulling each other down. You mean 6:59. Like we should not be pulling each other down because we're all in this same bucket. We should not be crabs in a barrel. We should not be crabs in a barrel. Why? Because the world was made for our sakes. And being that it was, we need to come together like it is. We need to be this royal priesthood. We need to be royalty. We need to treat when our sister's walking up the street, we need to treat her like royalty. When the brother is walking up the street, you need to treat that brother like royalty. You don't need to envy your oppressor and act like Esau towards your brother. You mean because Esau hated his brother. Go ahead, pull that verse for me when you got it.
Khan. This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and verse 59. If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world?
Why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? Because we'd rather act like crabs in a barrel. We'd rather pull each other down rather than lift each other up. Now let me show you when we did what Zephaniah 2:1 says to do, which is gather ourselves and be brothers. Guess what? We had Black Wall Street. We had hospitals. We had college rates going up. We had career success. We had all the things that the Black community needed. When we followed what God said to do, we had brotherhood, we had sisterhood. But guess what? The world is not in our possession right now because we rather act like crabs in a barrel. We rather pull each other down rather than lift each other up. If you can give me Matthew 25 and 40.
Matthew 25 and 40.
Con. And then
Matthew 25
40
and 40.
Before you read that though, if I could get one of y'all to pull Obadiah 1 and 10. This is gonna, because I had somebody ask me, so is it fair that God took Esau's birthright from him? And I'm like, Esau sold his birthright. Exactly. He didn't care about his brothers. Esau ain't care about his nation. You mean? And a lot of times we act like Esau. Like when you see black on black crime, we're acting like Esau.
Exactly.
When you see a black man willing to have an opposition, when that is another black man, you hate yourself. You got internal things going on that you need to shake. Exactly. And what is it? You need God. You got that verse for me?
Obadiah.
Yeah. And before you read that, Carl, you could pull the verse I asked you to pull.
The book of Matthew, chapter 25 and verse 40. And the king shall answer and say unto them, verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of my brethren, ye have done it unto me.
So what Christ is saying is, let's say you walking down the street and you see a homeless brother, he a brother, and you walk right past him, you know he needs some food, you did that to Christ. That's what Christ is saying right here. He's saying if you walk, it's a lot of young dudes out here whose brothers and sisters, and they live for crime. Like I remember growing up, my brothers and sisters, they would beat up basically random people. And let's say you going around and you beat up a random brother, yo, you hate Christ, you beating up Christ, you hate yourself, you're a murderer, as the scriptures say. You feel me? Because if you hate your brother or you hate your sister, you a murderer. You hate your brother, you hate your sister, you don't love God. Like we debate, or I don't want to say debate, but we dialogue with Christians all the time, and we tell them the truth of the scriptures, and they hate us for it. So how could they say they love God when they hate us for being Israelites? They hate us for following the commandments. You got that scripture in Obadiah?
This is Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
So for Esau being Esau, hating us for no reason, no apparent reason. Like as we see it in the scripture, if you hate your brother for no reason, you're a murderer. Why? Because you're willing to do anything to your brother if you don't love him. Exactly. You're willing to meet any measure needed. Like you ever see your brother a hustler in the world, and if it ain't about that money, he don't care. Exactly. He'll do anything for that money. He'll slime his own mother out for that money. You get it? You feel me? So this is why it's saying that, like, if you willing to worry about yourself more than your brother, like you need to be selfless when you come into the truth. You need to be so brotherly, so sisterly that you know, okay, if I don't do this, this may cost this brother or sister their life. That's the kind of attitude and spirit you want to have when you come into the truth. Keep reading on.
Verse 11. In that day, thou shalt stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was as one of them.
You good, keep going.
But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress.
Exactly. Like Esau spoke proudly in our day of distress. They was proud to see us in this lowest state. This is the spirit you don't want to have. This is the spirit that you don't want to obtain. Like, listen, if you ever get it in your mind to where you feel as though it's some kind of strife between you and a brother, you want to go to that brother and address it, because you don't want to let it linger. You don't want to let it stay up in here in your head, because if you do, Satan gonna play off of it and he gonna use it, and then you're gonna find yourself doing some unbrotherly things. You're gonna find yourself back in the world. You're gonna find yourself losing, on the verge of death. If I could get this is the spirit you want to have. If I could get Matthew, Salaki, if I could get John 15 and 13, this is the spirit you want to keep when you in the truth, or even if you a brother striving to be in the truth. This is the spirit you want to have when you address a brother. Like I had a circumstance not so long ago with some brothers, and we in a group chat, and a brother aired the other brother dirty laundry all out in front of the group chat. Like you ain't supposed to do that. You gotta pull that brother to the side and let him know, like, yo, brother, you moving kind of shiesty right now. You mean you don't want to air it out in front of the whole group chat? Why? Because now this brother feel like he gotta prove himself. His pride getting in the way. You feel me? As we all know, when pride comes, destruction comes. You feel me? You got that for me?
The book of John, chapter 15, verse 13. Greater love have no man.
Read the verse right ahead. Salaki.
The book of John, chapter 15, verse 12. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Verse 13. Greater love have no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
And just as we read in Proverbs 18 and 24, there's going to be a friend who sticks closer than a brother. So there's going to be people who is somewhat your friends, because as we know, if you're a black, Hispanic, or a native, you're a brother or you a sister. So we ain't even looking at you like a friend. You a brother or a sister, unless you moving like a stranger, unless you moving like a heathen. You mean, but there's no love greater than somebody who claims to be your brother or your friend, who will lay down their life for you. Like, it's so many brothers in the world who still in the streets, who still doing certain things, and they willing to die for their cause. They willing to die for their homie. And those are the spirits that we need in here. We need more brothers and sisters willing to die for this truth. Right. We need more brothers and sisters willing to put it all on the line, like Christ did for this truth. We need more brothers and sisters who have faith in this mission, because this mission is what's going to bring our kingdom here. Like, the kingdom is near. I know y'all see all the signs going on. The kingdom is near. This is the high time to come back to these commandments. This is the high time to come back to being a brother, being a sister. You ain't got to be out in the world by your dolo. You feel me? Like, everybody want to think that standing alone is something good, something great. No. Like, God didn't make any individual lights. He made Israelites. He didn't make any individual lights. He made us together. Zephaniah 2:1 says, gather yourselves. He ain't tell us to just stick alone, rock out by your dolo, you gonna be good. Nah, he ain't say that. He said, come together with your brother. Two is better than one. Who got that scripture say you can't warm yourself by yourself? You need companionship. You need brothers. You need sisters. You need unity. Because with unity comes strength. With strength, I'm not even talking about strength in numbers. I'm just talking about strength being together. Because just a few of us could overtake a nation. Just a few of us sticking together. Like, yo, black people is so ignorant that we don't even know that we are the biggest consumers in America. If we all come together for one day and stop supporting this delusion, we would collapse the economy. But instead, we rather TikTok. Instead, we rather dance. Instead, we rather play into Esau's hands and play into Esau's dreams and follow what Esau got in store for us. You know, it's all about what team you're willing to play on. Me, I'm willing to play on the Lord's team. Me, I'm willing to do what the Lord need me to do. I'm willing to be a brother at all costs. If a brother need me, I'm there at his disposal. Why? Because we brothers. That's what a brother do. That's what a sister do. That's what unity, that's what a family does. No matter how much you don't like the things that they may be doing all the time, you still gonna rock out for them because that's your family. And just as we know, Christ said, whoever doing the will of the Father is your family. So if you doing the will of the Father, I'll do anything for you. You got that? You got that verse?
I got it.
Duwada.
It's Ecclesiastes 4:11. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, verse 11. Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone?
Read that last verse again.
Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone?
How could one be warm alone? How could you warm yourself up alone? You got a question?
Khan, no, I got a statement. Because, what you're bringing out is extremely heavy. The verse that you brought out, these two verses, like, it's heavy because you brought out the verse about, one who would lay down his life for his brother, there's no greater love. And then this verse. Right. And then now you have people in the world that keep putting that message out. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It says something to the effect of, it be your own people, yeah. Or you can't trust people. Mm-hmm. When really you can just vet your friends. Yeah. Really, what's happening is there's people who are being friends to people that are not, being friends back. You're their friend, but they're not your friend. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. That's a dangerous game to play. Why? Because I had when I first came out here, I had my first best friend. He hated me for the things I had. You mean, like, he came to me one time and was like, you got a mom? I'm like, you got a mom. Your mom in the house just like my mom in the house. Right. You mean, but it was because he seen my manner of life. You mean, and he envied it rather than just being like, damn, bro, that's what's up. Rather than just being a brother. You mean, that's why what you're saying is heavy, because you have to vet your friends. You can't just credit somebody being a friend. It's a very, you can pull that for me. Don't credit a friend being a friend. Right, I got you. If he ain't a friend. You mean, because you could credit somebody who's envious of you, and then you could find yourself in some situations that's not beneficial to you or him, because now he may be feeling like he got to do something to you because he ain't have. You mean, when that's not a brother. That's not the spirit you want to have. That's the spirit of Esau. Because as we just seen, Esau was happy in our distress.
Esau was happy when we was falling down. Esau was happy when we had blood pouring out of us. They wasn't even satisfied with that.
Right.
So,
and if I could, something just came to mind.
Mhm.
There's people in this world that, you know, I know personally that have put their life on the line for friends.
Mhm.
And then now, after putting their life on the line, that person that, you know, actually risked their life was about to be unalive for their friend because their friend got them into something stupid. That person just doesn't even talk to them anymore.
And
For
that's
no reason,
crazy.
because they never really were that much of a friend in the first place.
And I be
About
feeling like that's
themselves.
how we be doing Christ. Like, what about like, let's say your homie, let's say y'all both doing crime together, and your homie, y'all both get caught, right? And your homie take the rap, and you know the death penalty on the line. The death penalty on the line. Like you know, in certain states, certain crimes you do, it's no exceptions. So let's say we both do a crime together, me and Christ. And Christ like, nah, bro, you got this is just an analogy here. This is like a worldly analogy, but let's say he like, you got ball dreams. You good at basketball. Nah, I'm gonna take the rap. And you know the death penalty on the line. And you just watched your brother take the death penalty for you. Do you think that it would be brotherly for me to go back to the streets and do the same thing that my brother just got the death penalty for? You think that it's righteous when police is breaking in your house and your sister is siding with the police? No,
So
that's not brotherly. That's not sisterly. That's not unity. That's not Israel. That's why we need to come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. That's why we need to come back to the Lord's ways. We need to love each other like ourselves. We need to love one another. You got something?
Yeah, it's like it's funny that you say that. When I was growing up, you know what I mean, our family was so distant from each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? My own sister called the cops on me and had me arrested. Just to let you know.
And that's crazy. Like, it's like, yo, it's no manner of like, it's no way I will ever get that mad at my brother or sister that I'm gonna call Esau.
Right.
That I'm gonna call Esau, because that could have been your life. If Esau came in that crib and you was acting the wrong way, that could have cost you your life.
Exactly.
And your sister would have been scarred for life, rather than just talking to you like a sister. Rather than y'all being able to speak it out like family. You mean, that's why unity is important. That's why brotherhood and sisterhood. That's why when we out here every Tuesday teaching these brotherhood and sisterhood classes, it is not for no reason. We trying to give you good counsel so that we could build our nation. We trying to do the things that the Lord has ordained for us to do. You mean, we trying to come back to the Lord's ways, because without them, we them crabs in a barrel. Without them, we pulling each other down instead of lifting each other up. Like second Ezra 6:59, they say, if the world was made for us, why don't we inherit it? Why? Because we're crabs in a barrel. We pulling each other down when we need to be picking each other up like Black Wall Street. You got that verse I asked for?
It's Ecclesiasticus chapter 6 and verse 7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first.
Prove them first. If you go get you a friend, prove them. You got to put them through the ringer. You got to put them through the test. You got to go through it with them. You got to go through that iron furnace with your brother, because it's going to be a time where if he's not really your brother, that's going to show. If she's not really your sister, that's going to show. Just like I was saying earlier with the sisters, when you dealing with another sister and y'all have relations, everything doesn't have to get put on the table. Everything's not for everybody. Like, can one of y'all pull that verse that says for your wife not to fall into the conversation of wives? Because it's a lot of unwise counsel that you can get, and that's not brotherly. That's not sisterly. Like, how many times I'll give you a great analogy. How many times have you been treating your wife wonderful? You doing the right thing, and she knows she got a good man at home, but she get around these hood rats. She get around these worldly females, and they saying, yo, my man ain't shit. And now they thinking, Salakia, they think they man ain't anything, and now they're thinking that they got a man who ain't anything. You mean, that's why attending to wise counsels is important. That's why having brothers around you who gonna be like, yo, you know what? Nah, bro, that ain't P. That's not player. That's not how things supposed to go. You mean it's some sisters that'll stick up and be like, nah, that ain't me. That ain't my situation at home. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to get into the ISUPK because that's where some real brothers is at. So it's sisters out there that will say that. It's sisters out there that will show you that sisterhood and give you guidance. But it's also sisters out there that will misguide you. You know, and that's why it's important the way we as brothers and sisters guide each other, and the way we approach each other, the way we talk to each other. Because just like as the brother was pulling earlier, you never know what a brother or a sister going through. They may have some mental illnesses or some mental issues that they dealing with that you didn't know about, that you need to be aware of. That's called being considerate. Like if we could all be considerate of one another, we would really flourish. You mean rather than just being like, nah, he ain't like me. You mean you gotta know who you laboring with. You gotta know who you around. You gotta prove your friend. You gotta prove your brother, prove your sister. You mean if they willing to stump? Listen, I just told my mans, like, listen, if you not willing to get correction from me, we don't need to be friends. We don't need to be homies. Because I don't need no yes men around me. I need you to be able to tell me I'm wrong, and I need to be able to tell you wrong. Why? So we could grow together and not just be stagnant.
Right.
Anybody got that verse?
So like you said, the counsel of the unwise.
I said the conversation of wives.
Conversation of wives.
Yeah, it's in
Salaki.
you got it.
This is the book of First Peter, chapter 3, verse 1. Likewise, wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of wives.
Exactly. So without this correct counsel, without the wise counsels, you'll see that we could be led astray. So without brotherhood, without sisterhood, without the correct people around you, you are who you around. You ever see that picture of that rotten apple around the fresh apples and it spoiled the rest of them? You are who you around. You mean if you chilling around spoiled people, you chilling around worldly people, you're gonna wind up making a worldly decision. But if you're chilling around brothers and sisters in the ISUPK, they're gonna force you to be great. Why? Because what's being great? Pull Matthew 5 and 19 for me. What's being great according to the Lord? We know it's doing and teaching the commandments. So the brothers in here, the sisters in here, they're not gonna let you do some worldly stuff. They're not gonna allow you. They're not gonna give you worldly counsel. They're gonna give you wise counsel. They're gonna tell you, yo, look, I know that you want to do this, but that's not wise. That's not smart. That's not the best thing for you. That's not gonna get you in the kingdom. They're gonna give you wise counsel if they really love you. Because think about it like this, and if you wise enough, you'll take it. Because nobody has to tell you anything. If they going out their way to tell you the truth, that means they love you. Just like I was reading about in 1 John 4 and 20, we go out every day and teach this word to our Christian brothers and sisters who's lost, and they hate us for it, but say they love God. But as we know, the scriptures say, how could you say you love God but hate your brother? So it's kind of, you got something?
They'll hit you with God knows my heart.
Yeah, and God does know your heart, and he know it's filthy.
Right.
It's filthy. If you ain't loving your brother and your sister, your heart is filthy. It's wicked. Like how many brothers out here selling drugs to their brothers? They witches. We out here battling spiritual warfare, and the only way we gonna survive is with this brotherhood, is with this sisterhood, is with this weapon that the Lord has given to us. You got it?
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of the least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven.
Read that one more time.
Whosoever therefore shall break one of the least commandments and shall teach man so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven.
So as we just seen, as I was explaining, if your brother or your sister love you, they're gonna teach you to be great. Because they don't gotta tell you, they don't gotta give you wise counsel, but if they're giving it to you, it's because they love you. They want you to be better. So if he teaching you to be great in the kingdom, it's because he love you. It's because he's a brother. It's because she's a sister. So unity is important. Somebody pull Psalms 119 and 98. You gotta also, like I was explaining earlier about the brothers and sisters that have opposition out here who's still in the world, the brothers and sisters who don't know their enemies. You need to know your enemies out here in this world, because we have enemies. We have people that hunt our steps. Salakia, while he pulling that, could one of y'all pull that? They hunt our steps. It's in Lamentations. You got that verse 119:96 or 98?
Khan.
You pull it.
Thou through thy commandments. Hold, this is Salakia. This is Psalms 119, verse 98. Though through thy commandments has made me wiser than my enemies.
So why, if anybody could, this is kind of a broad question, but why would the commandments make you smarter than your enemies? How will it make you smarter than your enemies? It's a broad question, but it's a lot of good answers to it.
The commandments put you give you a one up over your enemies, because these are commandments and laws that the enemies didn't never get.
Okay, I'll take that. But you could clean it up a little bit more, though. You can clean it up a little bit more. Anybody else? Go ahead.
The laws was given
there.
from the Most High.
Say it again.
The laws was given from the Most High.
Yeah, it was given from the Most High, but it's things in them that make you better than your enemies. Why? Like, okay, look, our enemies, right? Think about Esau's army and the Lord's army, right? Our enemies, they have casualties of war. They have it to where they'll send their own flesh out there to die, and they don't care about them. When our brothers and sisters came back from the world wars, they was right here out on these streets homeless. But guess what? If you joined the Lord's army, you know it's a commandment to love your brother, love your sister. So now you know, okay, when we come back from this war, you can't treat your brother, your sister any kind of way that warred with you, that fought enemies with you. This is why it's going to make us better than our enemies. Why? Because we know we have to have brotherhood. We have to have unity. They don't care about no unity. They don't care about no brotherhood, sister. They don't care about what that brother or sister got going on in their life. They care about what you going to do for this army. You mean? And it's the same sense with us, but we have the commandments. So we know whether we care about what you're going to do for this army, we also care about what you're going to do after the war is done. We care about how you're going to live your life after the war is over. We care about how we going to treat each other when we not warned, even while we warned. You mean? It's all spiritual. You mean brotherhood and sisterhood is a weapon that they don't have. That's how it makes us better than our enemies. That's how it makes us wiser than our enemies. You got that other verse that I asked for in Lamentations?
The book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 18. They hunt our steps.
They hunt our steps. Who's the they? The oppressors.
Right.
Keep going.
That we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled. For our end is come.
So it's heavy with them saying we cannot go in our streets. I know that everyone in here has heard of these sundown towns and these places where after a certain time you cannot go outside. You mean? And why is it like that? Because the Lord is not on our side right now. Until we come back to having brotherhood, sisterhood, unity, and following these laws, statutes, and commandments, the Lord will not fight for us. It means Zephaniah 2:1 says we have to gather ourselves so that a brother or sister who don't know about a sundown town would know, yeah, you know what, bro, you can't go out past this time because these Edomites is out here hunting our steps. These Edomites is out here waiting for you, lurking, privily, trying to catch some blood. So, you know, that's the importance of brotherhood and sisterhood. Like we gotta, let me see if I could find this. Right. I don't want that. All right. Let me go back here. Pull Psalms 55 and 20 for me. I think I already said that one though.
Con. This is the book of Psalms 55, chapter 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant.
How so let's say your brother coming to you and to you alone trying to resolve a matter. So he's coming to you in peace. And you basically angry with him. How have you broken the covenant? Because if you angry with your brother without cause, we know that's against the commandments. We know that that's against God. We know that's against the rules that the Lord have ordained for us. How can we raise young men to be young men without strong and wise brothers, strong and wise counsels, strong and wise men above us? Like everything that we do is rank and order. Like how many brothers in this truth got a younger man over them, but they don't treat him like less because we understand the spirit of brotherhood. Right. We understand that, okay, this brother may be younger than me, but he worked for his position. Exactly. So I'm not going to envy my brother. I'm not going to be angry with my brother without cause. I'm going to understand he worked for that. And if I want the same things, I'm going to work for it too. I'm going to even go to that brother and ask him how he did it. You mean try to get some of his wise counsel. I mean, like wise counsel in the truth is very important because it's easier to do wrong than it is to do right. It's easier for you to fall than it is for you to walk uprightly. You feel me? Like it's easy for you to fail. Like think about it. Just as we read in that scripture in Ecclesiastes or Ecclesiasticus, I think it was, you can't even warm yourself up alone. So without a companion, without a partner, without a brother, without a sister, you alone in this world. And when you alone, guess who's gonna come to you? Satan. Like Christ was tempted when he was alone. Christ was tempted. We all tempted all the time, but you're gonna be tempted the most when you alone. He gonna come to you and put thoughts in your mind that's not really true. And if you're not wise enough, or if you don't have nobody to call and lean on, like I got brothers in here that I could call no matter what I'm going through. I got brothers in here that I could call when I'm down to my lowest. And I could be like, yo, bro, you got time to rap? And a brother gonna sit on the phone and rap. Why? Because that's what's needed. You have to be a brother and you have to be a sister. You have to be someone to lean on. We all need somebody to lean on. Nobody not strong enough to where they could do this mission on their own. We not Yahushua. That's why he's the king. We not Yahushua, but we could be like him. That's the importance of this brotherhood that we teaching. We teaching to be like Christ. Christ taught that it was a commandment not to hurt your brother. That it was a commandment to treat others how you want to be treated. Why is that so important? Because if you moving around with the spirit of treating others how you want to be treated, right? And not just anybody. I'm not talking about the strangers, the Edomites, the Africans, and all the other nations. I'm talking about the Israelites. I'm talking about the blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Why is it important to treat them how you want to be treated? Just as the brother pulled earlier, we don't know what they're going through. We don't know if they have a mental illness that they're dealing with. So you may have things that stumbling blocks for you, just like they got things that stumbling blocks for them. The best thing you could do is be there for them. Let me pull this verse up. So while I pull this verse up, anybody got any questions about how you could be a good brother, a good sister?
What verse you asked for?
No, I'm pulling a verse up right now. I ain't asked for a verse yet. All right, give me Psalm 78 and 5. And then somebody else pull Luke 16 and 31. Pull the Luke 16 and 31 verse first, though. And then Salakia. One other person pull Revelations 22 and 14. And read the
Salaki, you said Luke 16 and 31?
yeah.
Okay.
And read the Revelations 22 and 14 first.
Slaggy. So Revelations 14 and what?
22 and 14.
22 and 14. Slaggy.
And while they pulling that, I'm gonna read Revelations 14 and 12. It says, "Here is the patience of the saints." We know the saints is Israel. "Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Yahushua." So if you consider yourself to be a saint, which most people do, but they not loving their brothers and their sisters, you can't get into the kingdom of God without loving your brother. You can't get into the kingdom of God without treating your sister appropriately. You can't get into the kingdom of God with hating Israel. Anybody else got them verses, Apple? You got that? Yep.
Con, this is the book of Revelations, chapter 22, verse 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments.
So blessed, you're gonna be blessed if you love your brother. You're gonna be blessed if you treat your sister how you want to be treated. You're gonna be blessed if you treat your brother and your sister how you want to be treated. You're gonna be blessed if you love one another. You're gonna be blessed if you keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. Because as we know, to get into the kingdom, we gotta keep the law, statutes, and commandments. And what's the commandment? To love your brother like yourself. So it ain't no getting around that. Ain't no getting around. Don't think you could get into the kingdom alone. Just like we said earlier, there's no individualites. We Israelites. So we are one. We're a unity. Like Black Wall Street was a good depiction of brotherhood and sisterhood, because when we stuck together, we rose up. But when we broke apart and we started to think one knew better than the other, we fell. Just like the crabs in the barrel analogy. If you willing to pull your brother down, you willing to fall. Go ahead, brother. You ask something?
Salagi, I was about to say, ever since then, though, you could see how the black nation in America was afraid to even make a move like that happen ever again. We never made nothing like that happen ever again. It's nothing in history that can top that today.
Yeah, I mean, that's because they hunting our steps. I mean, that's because the black community is scared to be pro-black. I mean, you hear anything pro-black and everybody like, it's a problem. It's a problem for us to love our nation. But any other nation, when the Chinese man is keeping his funds in the Chinese community, it's not an issue. But when a black man wants to only support black businesses, it's an issue. You got to spread the love. Nah, we ain't got to spread no love. We got to love our nation. Go ahead.
Salakia, I was going to say today I witnessed Moab working with the Issacharites. Issacharites, Salakia, Khan. And it was like Issachar was doing the work.
Yeah.
Moab was just monitoring. And then you had a couple of them that was trying to learn the trade. But I could see that Moab was really learning from Issachar. Like before the Moabite got up on the ladder, he's sitting there watching. He's watching the brother do what he do, and I'm like, well, that's crazy because, I mean, you'll see the Mormons work together,
right?
You know, it's all Mormons. You see the Jews work together, it's all Jews. That was the first time I seen two nations differ from each other work together, but it's the oppressor oppressing the brother right there on the field. Like it's not hidden. Like, you know, corporate, he's over top, he's the boss, he's giving out the orders, giving out the work, and he's sending the workers out to work. No, he right there in the field with Issachar.
Yeah, and that's the importance of brother, because you know your brother, he might get out there and struggle with you. You mean, but an enemy, you mean another nation, they'll allow you to struggle and they'll watch. You mean, pull Ecclesiasticus 12:10. I mean, because as we know, these other nations, they don't have a regard for our lives. And they never did. Ain't nothing new under the sun. So they ain't never have a regard for Israel. They ain't never have a regard for blacks, Hispanics, and natives. They'll see a black, Hispanic, and native and let them struggle. You mean why? Because they not us. They know we not the same nation. When you got that, you could read it out. Ecclesiasticus 12:10.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12, verse 10.
You could read down to 16.
Never trust thine enemy, for like an iron rusteth, so does his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him.
So you got to take good heed of your enemies. Why? Because they're not your brothers. Like when you're dealing with your brother, I'm not saying to not be wise in the way you deal with your brother. But what I'm saying is a brother, if he's truly your brother, he's going to be a brother. And he's not going to lead you into, he's not going to have to talk sweetly to you to get what he needs done. He can ask you as a brother. You mean, but an enemy, an oppressor, he'll lie to you to get what he wants. An enemy or oppressor will oppress you just to get what they need done. They don't have no regard for your life. An enemy or an oppressor will tell you, yeah, you know, we all, just as the brother was pulling, we all workers, but the brother's the only one working. The Issacharite, the only one really putting the pain in. While the enemy, the Edom, the Moabite is just watching. You mean, so it ain't, your enemies is not your brothers. And that's why it's important for Israel to understand who their enemies are. Because we do have enemies, which is the nations who are around us. Keep reading that verse. Or you could just skip down to 16 and read 16 for me.
An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips.
An enemy speaks sweetly with his lips. He'll tell you anything you want to hear. Keep going.
But in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit.
As you see, in his heart is evil. In his heart is wickedness. In his heart, he want to see you die. Just like the explanation I pulled up with the dude who I thought was my friend, who I didn't prove yet. He wanted to see me hurt, and I wanted to see him flourish. So you got to prove your friends. You got to understand who you around, because it's people that do envy you, and you don't even know. It's people that want to see you fail. It's people that don't want to see you doing well. It's people that don't love you like the Most High knows that your brother or your sister loves you. Like, it's like when we see, like, this is going to be my first Passover. So when I see brothers and sisters coming together, that's going to be glorious to me, because I haven't anywhere in the world got to see anything like that. Blacks, Hispanics, and natives gathered like Zephaniah 2:1. I have never got to see that. So that's going to be a glorious event for me. Right. So when I see the Lord's work being done, I'm happy. I love being around these brothers and sisters. I love teaching the word of God. I love being in here every second. Why? Because this is a spirit and a brotherhood. This is a community that I was never given before. This is a community that I was never shown. This is a lifestyle that I was never, what's the word I'm looking for? This is a lifestyle I was never basically approached with. You mean the lifestyle I was approached with was every man for theyself, survive. You know what I'm saying? And now I know I'm surviving for more than one. Like, pull that verse that says, be a father to the fatherless. You mean, you need to be a father to the fatherless. You need to be a brother to the brotherless. You need to be a sister to the sisterless. You need to be a family to the ones who really don't have family. And I'm not talking about the other nations, the heathens. I'm talking about to your kin, your brothers, your sister. If you a black man, Hispanic man, Native man, you need to be a father to the fatherless. You need to be a mother to the motherless. You need to be unity. You need to be one. It takes a nation. It takes a Salakia. It takes a village to raise a child. I'm saying so.
Damn right.
So it ain't like it's one person's job to make sure we do right. No, I mean it takes all of us. When you got that verse, you can read it out.
Khan, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 10. Be as a father unto the fatherless, and instead of a husband unto their mother, so shalt thou be as the son of the Most High,
Right.
and he shall love thee more than thy mother doeth.
So if you willing to do the work of the Most High, he gonna love you more than your mother. How many times have we heard ain't a love like a mother's love? How many
Damn
times
right.
have we heard that? Now to hear that the Lord gonna love us more than our mother, come on. It can't get no better than that. And all you gotta do is show brotherhood, show sisterhood. Come on, it can't get better than that. To know that the Lord on your side because you're on your brother's side. To know the Lord is on your side because you know you looking out for your sister. You mean like me? I was told, I ain't even really had to get told this, but if anything happened to my little sister, I was gone. You mean? So it's a lot of things that's already on your heart to do if you a man of the Lord. Like, and if you a man of the Lord gonna seek out, he gonna seek you and he gonna get you. Like, pull that verse that say, my children hear my voice. I mean, if you really meant to come into these doors and be a brother, Salakia, one of y'all pull that, and then one of y'all pull Ecclesiasticus 2 and 5. I think it is, where it say, ready yourself if you come to serve the Lord. So if you consider yourself a brother or a sister in the ISUPK, you need to ready yourself because you're going to be tempted with all manner of situations and you're going to need to know how to deal with it. You're going to need to know how to be still a brother, still be a sister, and still hold your integrity. Call them verses out and read it when you got them for me.
This is Salagia. This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 27. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them.
So the Lord said, my sheep hear my voice. So if you meant to come in here and be a brother, the Lord already know you. If you meant to come in here and be a sister, the Lord already know you. If you meant to follow the Lord's commandments, he already knows you. But if you consider yourself one of those sheep, give me that verse in Ecclesiasticus I asked for.
Oh, so you said prepare yourself when you come to serve the Lord, right?
Okay.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
Temptation. Because when you come into this truth, the closer and closer you get to God, the more and more Satan's going to work to get you out of this. The more and more Satan's going to put people around you that's unbrotherly. And you're going to need to deal with those situations like a holy man, like a separate man, like somebody who's not in the world. You're going to need to be a brother to that brother who hurt you. You mean, like how many people came across a bully, you mean, and you understand he only bullying people because he hurt. You know what I'm saying? You got to be willing to understand that. Go ahead, brother. You had something?
Salagia, I was just going to say, I was one of them bullies. I was one of them bullies that bullied because I was hurt.
Right.
I mean, because I felt like I'm not gonna say I was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say I was bullied.
I mean, it's cool. Yeah.
I was bullied and I was picked on.
Right.
And I said, I'm not gonna let nobody pick on me or bully me like that bully bullied me.
Right.
So anytime I ran into a situation that I felt like I was about to be overpowered or bullied, oh yeah, I bucked up and I charged at it.
Mm-hmm.
Like as if that bully was right in front of me. So
exactly, and And it's unfortunate, but you didn't have a brother around who understood that. Who
Con,
understood, like, damn, you know what? This brother just going through something.
con,
This brother just going, his situation at home may not be desirable. His situation out here in the streets may not be desirable. You ain't had nobody to just be like, you know what, fuck it, bro. I'm gonna rock out with you. Excuse my language, but I'm gonna rock out with you. You mean? Like, I'm gonna rock out with you to where you understand it's people out here in the world who ain't going to just turn their back, who ain't just going to bully you, who ain't just going to be ignorant. That's why brotherhood is a weapon, because when you know you got somebody you can lean on, think about how strong that makes you. When you know, all right, I'm going through it, but I'm not going to end my life. Like, I just seen this post on Instagram. It was a brother who just ended his life because of his girlfriend. He was stressing. Now, think about if he had a brother he could have called on and been like, yo, bro, I'm stressed out. Yo, shorty tweaking right now. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Think about if he had a brother he could have called. And his brother may have been like, yo, bro, it ain't even that serious, bro. It is what it is. Come chill with me. It is what it is. You mean you can't control nobody but yourself. You might as well come rock out with me and you gonna move on. You gonna live on. You mean? But because that brother didn't have a brother, how many, I don't know if y'all noticed, but all the parents in here, when you are a single child, now I was never a single child, so I didn't grow up that way, but single childs come out different than children with brothers and sisters. Would y'all agree? Go ahead.
I would. I would say that if I could, single children are normally a little bit more stubborn.
Exactly.
Single children are normally a little bit more like, I could say that they might even be maybe a little bit selfish sometimes too. They're used to having it to themselves and maybe not sharing.
Like, all right, I'll give you a great example. I'm a twin.
Right.
So my older brother, before I was born, he had his way. You mean? But when I was born with my twin, we got all the attention and he became like rebellious to that. You mean? He didn't like us because of that. He grew out of that, but it was, like, it could get like, just like you were saying, you could be selfish because you want your parents' love. But I never had the option to be that, because even in the womb, I was connected to somebody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Even in the womb, I had a brother. You mean? So it's like kids who grow up alone and kids who grow up with brothers and sisters is different. And you have to look at yourself right now like a child, because you're a child of the Most High. When you come into this truth, you reborn. Christ said you have to become like a child. Pull that verse for me. You have to become like a child. So if we all consider ourselves children of the Lord, then we understand we're children growing up. We're not single children. We're not children alone. We got brothers and sisters that we also got to account for. So me, when I went out, I had to account for my brothers and sisters. So these are things you have to do, just like Christ said to do. You have to love your brother, love your sister. Look out for your brother. Look out for your sister. You see them falling, counsel them. Help them.
The book of the book of Matthew, chapter 18 and verse 3. And said, verily, I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven.
So you can't enter into the kingdom of heaven till you change your mind, till you become like a child, till you understand that everything you learned in the world is crap. Everything you learned in the world is no wisdom. It's not wise at all. But when you come into this truth and say, okay, even if this brother is doing something I don't like, he's still my brother. Even if this sister is doing something that I don't agree with, she's still my sister. So we got to work through it, because we can't just not rock with each other. We got to work through it. So this is the message that Christ had for us. So this is the message that we have to uphold, and we have to keep teaching to our little ones. Like, it's a verse in the Bible that say, raise a child up in the way he should go. You feel me? And he will not divert from that. Go ahead.
Salakia. And what you just saying that Salakia, as far as the message, we killed the messenger.
Yeah.
We killed the messenger.
Exactly.
Because we didn't like the message. We didn't want to stand for the message that he was bringing to us. So we killed him for it.
Yeah, and that's like the craziest thing. And Christians believe that we just don't gotta do nothing now. We could get saved. Like, that's crazy. Like, we done did a lot, and the Bible say we done did worse than our fathers. You mean it said we done did worse than our fathers? That's 1 Kings 8:47. We done did worse than our fathers, and we just expect not to have to do anything to get in the kingdom. No, we gotta love our brother and love our sister and keep these commandments. That's how we gonna get in this kingdom. That's how. Think about this. What if the sky cracked today, and Christ said, "Yo, you get Philadelphia, you get Jersey, you get Maryland. Are you gonna be able to rule justly?" Like who got the story of when let me see if I can find it. Of when I think it was Solomon when he was about to split the baby in half.
I got you.
You got that story? Yeah, like that was some righteous judgment. I don't know if I could listen.
Right.
I'm a righteous brother, but that was some wisdom. Like I wouldn't have thought about that. I wouldn't have thought to say, okay, it's two sisters, right? They both got babies. One die and switch it out. And the other one, like a mother knows her child. You mean so the one sister, we gonna read about it, but he did such a righteous judgment. It was crazy. And like that's brotherhood, that's sisterhood, because he understood, okay, this sister right here, that's her child. This sister right here, she would rather this child just live. The other sister just wanted the child to die because hers already died. That wasn't sisterhood. That wasn't sisterly. That wasn't family-like to do that. They was in the same household, had children on the same day, and one died from an accident, and she was willing to see the other mother suffer, the other sister suffer because of her mistakes. You mean we all make mistakes, but it's about learning from them. It's about growing from them. Got it?
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 3, verse 16. Then came there two women that were harlots unto the king and stood before him. And one woman said, O Lord, O my Lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the third day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also, and we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we two in the house. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me, while thine handmaid slept.
So if you Slakia, not to cut you off, but that's not sisterhood. Y'all in the same house and y'all both just had babies. The condition of a woman when she has a baby is not like she can move around and do a lot of things like in that manner. Right. So that's not sisterly for you to see that your child died and you to go to another sister and take her baby. Like think about how hurt that would lead a sister. That's not sisterhood. That's not what Christ taught to do. Keep reading on.
And laid it in her bosom, and laid her child in my bosom. And when I arose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I had considered in the morning, behold, it was not my son, which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living son of Salakia, but the living is my son.
So you see how unsisterly this sister was?
Right.
She was willing to lie. She was willing to swap the baby out. She was willing to do all manner of evil just because her child died. Like that's not sisterhood. That's not loving one like yourself. If you wouldn't want that done to you, why would you do it to her? That's not loving God. Go ahead, keep reading on.
And the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king. Then said the king, The one saith, This is my son that liveth, and the son is the dead. And the other saith, Nay, but the son is the dead, and my son is the living. And the king said, Bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, Divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other.
Now that's Man, the king was
That's
man,
gangster.
yeah. How many of y'all think y'all could have did that?
Never.
Never. You think you could have did that, Mataji Nah, and I don't think I could have did that. But that was wise. Keep reading on. We can already see what happened.
Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my Lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, let it be neither mine nor thine, but divided.
See, the other was not a sister at all. She didn't even care if the little baby lived or not.
Right.
That is not sisterhood. She said, cut him. Mine, she had it in her mind that a selfish spirit. Right. She had it in her mind, a selfish mentality, because she thought, okay, since mine is already going, hers need to be going too. That's not loving one like another. That's not loving your neighbor. That's not, and as we all know, your neighbor is your brother or your sister, somebody who is part of the 12 tribes of Israel.
That's right.
So if you don't love your brother or your sister, you don't love God. So that sister, she didn't love God. Now let's read on and see what happened.
Then the king answered and said, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof.
See, and the king was a brother, so he understood a mother's love for her child is very strong. Just as we read in the previous verses, when it said the Lord gonna love you more than your mother, because as we know, the love of it's no love like the love of a mother. Right. So the mother knew her child as soon as he came out the womb. They're immediately connected. Salaki, they're immediately connected. So her knowing that, okay, this still gotta be my child. She just wanted the child to live, but the other, she wanted him to die. And the counsel of the king allowed that baby to come back to his mother, because he understood that, okay, a real mother ain't going a real mother, not, it don't matter if that's my baby or not. You don't want to see a baby die. Right. You feel me? So it's like he was a brother. That was a righteous judgment. Like the Lord loves righteous judgment. The Lord says he loves a righteous scale, or a just scale, I think it is. It's in Proverbs. So like, let me see if I can pull it real quick. Proverbs 16 and 11. Yeah.
Where you at?
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 11. A just weight and balance are the Lord's. What? All the weights of the bag are his work.
So a just weight is what the Lord desires. That judgment that the king just passed was just, because a child was able to return back to his mother, right, rather than getting sliced into pieces as the other sister would have enjoyed. You feel me? So brotherhood and sisterhood is very important. The way you judge matters is very important. Like, as the Bible said, we have to prove all things. That's why that whole matter took place. We have to prove all things. Like, we can't just come to you and tell you, yeah, Christ was a brother. We got to show you. We can't just come to you and say that we, as Blacks, Hispanics, and Natives, are the only true children of the Lord. We have to show you. Because without these laws, statutes, and commandments, we wouldn't know to love each other. We wouldn't know to have brotherhood. We wouldn't know to have division. And we would be divided and conquered. We would be crabs in a barrel, as Esau would want us. But with this truth, with these laws, statutes, and commandments, we know to love each other and build with each other. So we're going to have the weapon that the Lord have ordained for us to have. And with that being said, I'm going to pass the class over to Priest and Officer Mataji Allah.
All right, security announcements. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes to the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to learn and share themselves with the world. They need transportation and teachable arrangements. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, they'll seek counsel from the heads. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10, means 10th in Hebrew, Ma'ashra. That's 10% for every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Priest fund, it's free will offering for the priest. It's not mandatory. It's whatever amount you like to donate. Upcoming holy convocations, we have the Passover. It's finally here, right? April 12th in Atlanta, Georgia. All right. So, I pray everyone got their travel arrangements already squared away and their living quarters already squared away. And make sure that you square your house away, because when you come back, we will be in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. It means we are to not eat anything to have leavening in it for 7 days. So people, you gotta get rid of that bread and cookies. You gotta get rid of that stuff. Or not get rid of, if you got somewhere outside your living quarters that you can put it for that 7 days, you can preserve it there. But that's for everything that has to be out of your living quarters. All right. If everyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. With that being said, individual Elijah, stand. Individual Elijah Shabbat, Elijah, Barak,
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatam.
Yahweh Matai, Saul, which means eternal. We're going to get a sister courtesy salute. Sister Elijah, sorry. Individual Elijah Shabbat, Elijah, Barak,
Yahweh Shamar Alatham Hashem Yahushua.
Yahweh Matai, class dismissed.
Wow.